Sinbad the sailor was no stranger to adventure. He had faced treacherous seas, mythical creatures, and mysterious lands, but each new journey filled him with the same excitement as the first. This time, his voyage took him to the vast continent of Africa, a land of ancient civilizations, dense jungles, and countless secrets. Sinbad had heard tales of a hidden kingdom deep within Africa, ruled by a queen whose beauty was matched only by her wisdom. Intrigued, he decided to seek out this kingdom, known as Zaila, and meet the legendary African queen. After weeks of sailing along the African coast, the Golden Falcon reached the mouth of a great river. Sinbad and his crew steered their ship upriver, following the waterway into the heart of the continent. The river was flanked by towering trees, their branches forming a thick canopy overhead. The sounds of the jungle, exotic birds, chattering monkeys, and the occasional roar of a distant predator, filled the air. As they traveled deeper into the jungle, the river became narrower and the current stronger, but Sinbad's determination never wavered. Finally, after several days, they reached a clearing where the river opened into a wide, tranquil lake. At the center of the lake stood an island, and on that island, rising above the trees, was a magnificent palace. "This must be Zaila," Sinbad said to his crew, his eyes fixed on the palace. "Prepare the ship for landing." The Golden Falcon glided across the lake and anchored at the island's edge. Sinbad, dressed in his finest clothes, disembarked and was met by a group of warriors clad in vibrant, ornate attire. Their leader, a tall man with a proud bearing, stepped forward and bowed. "Welcome to Zaila, Sinbad the sailor," the man said in a deep, melodic voice. "I am Jamal, captain of the Queen's Guard. Her Majesty has been expecting you." Sinbad was surprised but pleased. "It is an honor to be welcomed to your kingdom. I have heard many stories of your queen and her wisdom." Jamal nodded and gestured for Sinbad to follow him. They made their way through a lush garden filled with exotic flowers and statues carved from ivory and stone. The path led to the palace, where Sinbad was greeted by more of the queen's attendants, who escorted him to the throne room. The throne room was a grand hall adorned with intricate tapestries, golden ornaments, and large windows that let in the warm African sunlight. At the far end of the hall, seated on a throne carved from ebony and inlaid with precious stones, was the African queen. She was as breathtaking as the stories had said. Her skin was the color of rich mahogany, her eyes bright and intelligent. She wore a crown of gold and a robe made of the finest silk, embroidered with patterns that told the history of her people. But it was not just her beauty that captivated Sinbad, it was her presence, a combination of strength, grace, and wisdom that commanded respect. "Welcome, Sinbad of Basra," the queen said, her voice as smooth as honey. "I am Queen Asali, ruler of Zaila. I have heard of your adventures and your courage. It is not often that we receive visitors from distant lands, especially one as renowned as yourself." Sinbad bowed deeply. "Your Majesty, it is a privilege to stand before you. Your kingdom is as beautiful as the tales describe, and I am humbled by your hospitality." Queen Asali smiled. "You are kind, Sinbad. But I sense that you are not here merely to admire our land. What brings you to Zaila?" Sinbad hesitated for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "I have traveled far and wide, seeking knowledge and experience. When I heard of your kingdom and your wisdom, I knew I had to see it for myself. I come not just as an explorer, but as a friend, hoping to learn from you and your people." The queen studied him for a moment, her eyes thoughtful. "You speak with honesty, Sinbad. Very well, you shall stay in Zaila as our guest. There is much to see and learn, and I would be pleased to share our knowledge with you." Over the next several days, Sinbad was treated to the wonders of Zaila. He marveled at the ingenuity of its people, who had built a thriving civilization in the heart of the jungle. He visited their markets, where traders sold everything from rare spices to beautifully crafted jewelry. He observed their rituals and festivals, which celebrated the land and the spirits that watched over it. But it was his conversations with Queen Asali that left the deepest impression on Sinbad. They spoke of many things, of leadership, of the challenges faced by their respective peoples, and of the balance between strength and compassion. Sinbad found himself not only admiring the Queen's wisdom, but also her dedication to her people. One evening, as they walked together in the palace garden, Queen Asali shared a concern that weighed heavily on her mind. "Sinbad, there is something I must tell you," she began. "Zaila is a land of peace, but we are not without enemies. Recently, a warlord from the north, named Mukunda, has been gathering forces to challenge our borders. He is ruthless and seeks to expand his power by conquering our lands." Sinbad frowned. "Have you prepared for his attack?" "Yes," Asali replied. "But I fear that war will bring great suffering to my people, even if we are victorious. I have tried to reason with Mukunda, to offer him alliances and trade, but he is driven by greed and the desire for domination." Sinbad could see the burden of leadership in her eyes, and he felt a deep sense of respect for the Queen's commitment to her people. "Perhaps there is a way to avoid war," he suggested. "If we can outsmart Mukunda, show him that his efforts will be in vain, he may reconsider his course." Queen Asali considered this. "What do you propose?" Sinbad smiled, the spark of a plan forming in his mind. "Mukunda's strength lies in his numbers, but if we can convince him that his forces are no match for yours, he may retreat without a fight. We must use the element of surprise, deceive him into believing that Zaila is protected by powers beyond his understanding." With the Queen's approval, Sinbad set his plan into motion. He and the Queen's advisors spread rumors throughout the land that Zaila was protected by powerful spirits, and that the Queen had a secret weapon that could bring entire armies to their knees. These rumors reached Mukunda's ears, filling him with doubt. On the day Mukunda's forces approached the borders of Zaila, Sinbad and the Queen's warriors were ready. Using clever tactics and the natural landscape, they made Mukunda's army believe they were surrounded by supernatural forces. Strange noises echoed through the jungle, and mysterious fires appeared out of nowhere, spooking Mukunda's men. Believing the rumors to be true, Mukunda lost his nerve. He ordered a retreat, unwilling to risk his army against what he believed were invincible forces. Zaila was saved without a single drop of blood being shed. Queen Asali thanked Sinbad for his ingenuity and bravery. "You have not only saved my kingdom, but also taught me that sometimes, the greatest strength lies in wisdom and cunning, rather than in brute force." Sinbad, in turn, thanked the Queen for the honor of learning from her and experiencing the beauty of Zaila. As he prepared to depart, Queen Asali presented him with a gift, a pendant shaped like an elephant, carved from ivory and inlaid with gold. "This will remind you of your time in Zaila, and the friendship between our peoples," she said. Sinbad accepted the gift with gratitude. "I will treasure this always, Your Majesty. And should you ever need me, know that I will come to your aid." With that, Sinbad boarded the Golden Falcon and set sail once more, his heart filled with the memories of Zaila and the African Queen. As he watched the jungle fade into the horizon, he knew that this adventure, like all the others, would be one he would never forget. The tale of Sinbad and the African Queen would join the countless other stories of his legendary voyages, inspiring sailors and adventurers for generations to come.